Good day, paranormal community. Thank you for partaking in this episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my amazing co-host, Mr. Anthony Hernandez. Good morning, Anthony. How are you?
Good, good morning. I am doing okay.
I, I am still alive.
Yeah, still alive and kicking, so that's always a bonus there.
And there have been, and this kind of goes right along with today's show topic, but there's often been times in the past where it's been like, okay, if we do this episode, if we talk about what we're going to talk about, the black sedans are going to show up. Like we're going to be gone, disappeared uh, out there. So, uh, like uh, what our guest last week, Mr. Michael Seelig, said, if for whatever reason either of us uh, turns up, you know, uh, suicided. If that's even a word, suicided. Uh,
It's unalived.
Correct. Yeah. If we are no longer among, if you are investigating us, it is uh, dig deep, people, because it was not our choice. Um, and that is because, I mean, at least for this episode, we are going to be talking about uh, probably one of the most crucial, like relevant, and getting more and more relevant as the day passes. That affects all of us, no matter who you are. Doesn't matter. If you are on this planet, it affects you in some fashion. That obviously is, we're talking about disclosure and the 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 discussion of whether uh, we are. I you know what? I don't even think it is a matter of whether we're alone in the universe or not. I don't think anybody with a rational brain in this day and age can be like, "Yep, we're all that's here." I mean, unless you're so religious that you take the whole God created us and that's it.
Well, you
But
see, you can't even say that though, because you got people like Neil deGrasse Tyson that say that there is absolutely zero chance of aliens, and we are alone. We're one in a million or billion or whatever he says it is.
what? I've never heard.
Yeah,
I never heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say that we're it.
yeah, he's a big anti-alien person. If you ever listen to some of his stuff,
Wow, that that actually like blows my mind because I've listened to him talk and answer and do all kinds of stuff
oh,
about.
I was a huge fan up until I heard some of those things, and it's like, you're supposed to be a person of science. You have to be at least open to the possibility and not no, you're an idiot if and you're seeing a balloon and you don't know what you're seeing, because that's basically how he's come off on some of the things that he's talked about.
Interesting. Okay. Well, uh, wow. I was just about to say before you mentioned that uh, even the Vatican was just like the very fabric and origin of the we're, God created us and that's it thing is saying there's there's no way that God created the universe and only put us in it. Like even they're changing their tune now, and and I find that hilarious because that's exactly what I said was going to happen when
Oh yeah.
when you were on the show with Dave and myself talking about, I think it was Skinwalker Ranch, and then we just kind of went from
Mhm.
there. And I said flat out, as soon as the Pope or the church or whoever starts changing their tune to God created the entire universe and every species in it, that's when disclosures are going to start to happen. Because it's going to start to put the thought in people's heads that it's okay. It doesn't mess with your religious beliefs to see that we're not alone because God created them too.
Because he's that great. He created multiple things. Yeah.
Yes, because apparently God can multitask,
Yes.
which is probably a good quality to have if you're going to
Yes.
create the cosmos and everything in it. Um, so, and I too, even though I'm not a huge UFO and alien person, even I see that shit is starting to move in that direction. And it's interesting because just years ago now, I don't know for sure if it's the book that I read or not. There is a book out there, I believe written by Heidi Hollis, um, who it predates Hellier. It predates like Sir No Face. It predates all of this stuff that's going on right now. But it had certain, I don't, it didn't have certain time marks, but it had certain signs and things that were going to start happening. And they're starting to happen, which is now Congress is starting to get involved and the media is starting to get involved. And it's moving in that direction. And that was one of the things that was talked about. It also talked about their alien and UFO presences around nuclear silos. About it was, you know, anytime that we're supposed to go further into space or do something in that thing, that type of context, it'll be sabotaged because we're not ready to do it. And yet you have Sea Lake last week be like, we've been in space for decades. We've been to Mars. We have a base on the moon. I mean, so I mean, I wonder if it's more of a public thing, like as a nation or as a world, we can't publicly do these things.
Well, I mean, not to be cheesy with the sci-fi reference and stuff like that, but I think everyone is perfectly happy with the blue pill and to stay asleep and not know these things. I mean, because with some of those things, it's like, okay, you can. It is fine to be skeptical. I would say I'm a believer, but I'm a skeptical believer. So not everything I see is like that. Not everything is in the sky is an alien, and I realize that that is so few and far between. Most people probably don't really ever see them. But you can't tell me when someone says they see something like, "Oh, you're crazy because you don't know what you saw," and this and that. And the fact that you have high-ranking military officials, now we have government officials that have gone on record on film and basically said it's real. As of yesterday, Obama actually said in an interview that aliens are real, and he said, "Yeah, basically, Area 51 is a smokescreen. That's where they want you to look where other things are happening in other places." But I mean, I don't really know how much more you really need to happen to be like, okay, I guess there's something to it. Oh, the big the banks getting alerts to be prepared for people trying to do runs and stuff like that in Europe. So
Honestly, I was watching The Age of Disclosure last night, as I was telling you, which is 2025 documentary about obviously disclosure in ATIP, uh, and I'm just going to say Louis, because I can't pronounce his last name off the top of my head.
Elizondo.
Elizondo, there we go. Louis Elizondo and Jay Stratton. Uh, I mean, hell, even Travis Taylor was involved in this. Obviously, those are both people that you see now on like Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and uh, and it was fascinating. It was because they just had they. I sent you this text message. I go, it's the most intelligent I've seen Marco Rubio talk in since you know in the last 2 years, and uh, I think it's because and they had Republican people and they even had Schumer talking about it, and they did all these interviews with people from both sides, and it's like the one topic that both sides can drop the facade
The
of my
BS.
side
Yeah.
versus your side and talk about and talk about intelligently. And honestly, it gave me some hope. Like there's something there's something that can bring the two sides together, um, and to actually be genuine and sincere in what they're talking about, and because you can't get it anywhere else or with any other topic. Uh,
No.
even stuff that should be universal isn't. This is. But the thing that I had to laugh at and I had to just shake my head in shame is the constant with everybody involved in that documentary talking about United States national security, US national security. This is about our national security. And we need to know what is going on the side because that affects our national security. And I'm laughing at them because I'm like, dude, do you not understand? Is your arrogance so high that you think that there is anything that you can do about anything? Like, if they want to fly in our skies, what are you going to do to stop them? Nothing. If they want to attack and murder us all, what are you going to do? Nothing. And why is it that, and I do want your opinion on this, why is it, do you think, that we have to be so self centered that everything is about us? Like, why can't it be the world? Like, why isn't it Earth's national security? Like, why is it aliens exist and they are here right now? Does it only affect us and that's the only thing that matters?
The only thing I can say for that is I think that you have people out there like Putin who definitely is only interested in his point of view and his politics and his power. So if we were to share with people like that, I think they would legitimately take that knowledge and twist it and try to conquer more, to do more, to get more power here, and not really be a united front. I mean, that's kind of the only thing I can say for that. But I mean, you are right. It's a world issue. It's not a US. It's not like, well, we protected the US, now nothing bad's going to happen. Be like, no, pretty much no. It's in the waters, in the sky. It's pretty everywhere, not just here.
And my question goes, I mean, one, how are we any different? I mean, you say that we're doing this because Putin would twist it and use it to his
Oh, and
own,
I'm
you know, I can't remember, I can't think of the word now, but use it for himself to profit himself and make more
yeah.
power for himself. We're going to do that too. They
Oh,
even talked
definitely.
about
I
like
mean,
like we need to be in charge of this because if other people got it, oh, who knows what would happen?
well,
That's
the
exactly what we're
problem
doing.
now is that I think that it's, at least in my opinion, it's hidden behind private contractors. So you're going to have companies like Lockheed Martin, and I don't really think that they're bad guys per se in it. I think that they're doing what they were told to do, and I think the people that told them, you need to do these things, are, if you don't follow those rules, you could definitely have your brakes fail, or you could decide that you didn't like living anymore and jump out of a building or something like that, because it's happened in the past. And there are several whistleblowers who said that they've been threatened. I mean, as recent as last year. So I think that there's definitely long term government programs in place that protect that stuff. And I don't even, like I said, I've told you before, I don't think the president is even aware of everything, because I think those people look at him like a temporary employee. He's only there for 4 years. So
Uh,
why would you give him the secrets?
I mean, that's been a big thing in like all of it. Hell, you even go back to Independence Day, the movie,
Yeah.
and even in there, it was like, why wasn't I told about Area 51? And the guy's like, 2 words, Mr. President, plausible deniability. I mean, honestly, in this day and age, for and this is just uh, this isn't a political stand. This is just me and my observations of stuff. But would you really want to give this current president the secrets to the? Because he blurbs stuff out, and now he's being asked all the time about it. I mean,
Oh
is
yeah.
in
There's
I'm the thing that you told me about earlier this week about how the speech has been written about
yep.
disclosure, and Trump is going to give it on July 8th, the anniversary of Roswell. I mean, I'm assuming that's probably the pretext for why Obama was asked yesterday that brought up aliens in the first
Oh,
place. That's typically
I'm
not a
sure.
question you ask a former president unless he's on a late night talk show.
No. And you're right. I mean, that's definitely, I think, driving part of the narrative. And I do think I do think it has been sold to Trump to push that, so it would make sense to me, because there's been several people who've said basically the president that comes forward with the information and makes it public, that you step to the podium and say we're not alone, we can't divulge the specifics, but just know that there is something there, and that's where we are now, is going to get his face on Mount Rushmore. So I do think that is a legitimate driving factor to the to the ego there.
Oh, I'm not even going to get into that because wow. Uh, but so uh, because after Selig's interview last week, I went back and changed the topic to that later, but the pretext for this one involves that. But uh, I wrote Selig an email, which obviously I forwarded to you, and he responded immediately. Well, by the next day he responded, uh, and I forgot why I brought him up. Oh, well, I started looking into I started rewatching Hellier, which obviously is the Newkirk documentary. Uh,
Yeah.
we have an email out to Carl Pfeiffer, who is the director and is part of that, to come on the show. I haven't heard back from him yet. Hoping to, because I would really like to have. I have so many questions for him now too, but that's stuff that we can discuss later. But I mean, uh, I honestly forgot why I brought him up. I mean, I was going to go to do that. I was going to do the. Oh, that's why I was. Um, but in my response, which was after I forwarded the email to you, I responded to him last night. But I mentioned it to him. I mentioned the fact that whether he had sent you down these paths or whether he gave you an auger in order to get there faster, you had gone down the rabbit holes. And and I had mentioned that this July 8th thing that you had brought up uh, for Trump making this announcement. And I was like, have you heard anything about that? Because he did talk about whether on the air or off the air. I can't even remember. It's just one big blurry conversation.
Blur.
Um, so much was said on and off the air, but I think he did it on the air. But he said shit's going down this year. Prepare for it. It's coming this year, but he didn't say what it was. Um, and so I asked him, do you know anything about this? And I go, and if this is true, wouldn't he be the worst person to announce because he has zero credibility? And wouldn't the media and everybody else take it as more smokescreen to take people's attentions away from the bad shit he did the week prior? You know, whatever he did the 1st of July or whatever. Like, who could take him seriously? If he came out and did this big speech, who's not going to be like, he's lying and deflecting. He just wants us now to focus on this instead of, they still haven't released the Epstein files, that sort of thing. I don't
No,
know why he would be the one that you would want to do that.
it depends on, I guess it depends on the speech and what are they going to show some sort of proof? Like it'd be pretty hard to deny if they did a show and tell with some
yeah, I mean,
undisputable facts.
If they have Seamus standing right there next to him, be like, "Hi, world," then yes, okay, I can take it as that. But then again, right after the Phoenix Lights, you had it was the governor, wasn't it? The governor of Arizona that brought out the guy in the alien suit. I mean,
well, yeah, because he basically said they came to him and told him he should quit looking into it. Is basically what he said, and he said that he felt, I guess, threatened, and so he did that. And years later, he regretted doing it because it made fun of everyone that was basically telling him what they saw, and he saw it himself. So,
yeah. But I mean, there's so much stigma of distrust, and just lie after lie. I mean, the first administration was tallied at what 33,000 lies over their 4 years. I mean, again, if you were serious about trying to have disclosure, why would you have him do it?
Well, who's to say that he's going to be the only president or the only leader that does it? Who's going to say that he's just the first, and then it switches to someone like Putin or can't think of his name now, the leader for China, and come out and say those things. Xi, yeah. So who's to say that? Yeah. Who's to say that the next day or even later that day that they don't make a public address of something like that as well? I mean, it could be coordinated. I don't see him as a person sharing the spotlight, but that's just me.
Yeah, people who share the spotlight don't get at Mount Rushmore. I mean, that's pretty much now that you have said that, like that's pretty much what everybody's going to go for. Like, oh, this is just another attempt to get the Nobel Peace Prize. This is another attempt to get something else in his name. I mean, it's like his whole entire presidency right now is about building up to this idiotic, reward for spilling the beans. And I can't see it working in the way that he would think that it would, or
maybe not. I was going to say, I think it's a motivator. I think it's a good carrot to stick in front of the cart to get it to move. So I was like, that was pretty brilliant to whoever's selling it like that.
Mr. President, have you ever wanted your face in Mount Rushmore? Here's how you do it.
Yeah.
No, believe me, no other president is going to go on Mount Rushmore. There's just not enough room.
Nah. And I think it's fine the way it is. I'm all for like stop changing things like that. But I mean, as far as like Trump with stuff like that, so I think part of what pushed Trump, like I had heard about it and I had heard rumors and I was like, okay, we'll see. I was like, that seems like it seemed to me, at least when I first heard it, wishful thinking more than something that could be true. And then some of the people who started again reiterating that, and then the fact that a couple of weeks ago Laura Trump on her podcast actually came out and said that she's seen the speech and it's written, was kind of wow, like, okay, here's someone who is just telling what is already there. And on top of the other things, like the Vatican doing the documentary for First Contact as early as 26. So
What what documentary with the Vatican? Because that wasn't part of.
that's the no, it was there. That's how I found the Sam Sorek guy. He's a documentary filmmaker doing the documentary on the Vatican and what I guess what they know about UFOs and the activities and stuff like that. Which he'll hopefully will be on sometime in either late April or early May when he wraps all his filming and editing and all that up.
Oh, that's the guy.
That's the guy. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the guy that did the Bigfoot documentary.
No, no,
My
no.
bad. My bad. Okay. Well, now we're on the same page there, live on the air.
Yeah.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is what miscommunication is under. It's all about. So, uh, obviously, what got me on this trend, just kind of going back a little bit, because I do want to talk about this, because I've been wanting to talk about this for years, but it just kind of went on the back burner after so many years passed with it coming out. But like a lot of people, and rightfully so, you know, I was enthralled by the story behind the Hellier documentary, or the docu series, I should say, not documentary, docu
Yeah.
series. Um, and except for the very very end of season 2, which was garbage, sorry to say, uh,
Mhm.
like I was right there with everybody uh, in their fascination with it. Uh, but I had not watched it since the original because the last part of it was so disappointing. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But it's one of those things where so many years go by. Came out in 2019. Both seasons came out in 2019. So we're now 7 years you know removed from it. I have done so many of these shows. I've talked to so many people. I've talked to you. I've seen research. I've done research. I've heard the stories. I see the news articles. We watched the Tic Tac video. Uh, and I honestly I need to go back and look because I don't know what came first, Hellier or like the Sir No Face type thing with Chad Kalick and Craig Powell. Craig Powell, who has been on the show twice to tell us about this story from his own perspective, or his side of the story from his own perspective.
Yeah. I would love to hear his take on stuff now, especially where everything seems to be headed.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, that was why after Selig's interview last week, I'm like, gosh, let me go back and watch it because it's still on Prime for free if you have
Yeah.
an account. Let me go back and watch it with what I know now. With technology the way it is, with my knowledge and experience the way it is, and let me see if I look at it with the same fascination. And I'm still fascinated, just in different aspects now, because right from the beginning, uh, and obviously you can confirm this, but I sent you a message, and I'm like, this seems wrong. Right from the start, the very first episode, you have this David M. Christie person emailing Greg and Dana Newkirk back in 2012. with this long ass story of this encounter he had with what they call the goblins. And as he's reading through this, and I'm like, as somebody who has interviewed a lot of clients, dozens and dozens of clients over the course of the last 10 years, never in my life, in my career as a paranormal investigator, and believe me, I've asked many, many times, like, give me all the details you can. Like, I need like as detailed a list of your claims and what's going on is never have I gotten anything like what they got from that question. Never anywhere near it. And I've had some pretty long emails. And it occurred to me like this is what the kind of thing you get when you put in the parameters into Chat GPT. When you say, I need a story about some guy in the backwoods Kentucky who has seen little creatures, playing
Yeah.
around his yard or whatever. And then it spits out a story. And that is what you get when you do something like that. Except in 2012, ChatGPT didn't exist. AI didn't exist for us. And
Well,
so
you're
I was like,
assuming
what?
you're
Go
making the
ahead.
jump that email actually came in that date. But yes,
I guess. I mean, do you, well, even in 2019, AI and ChatGPT didn't exist.
well, at
So
least not for most people. No, it's been there. They've had it for a while, but it was never that good. It was really crappy, and it was garbage for the most part, unless you had access to like military or something like that.
well, that was my point. Was that
Yeah.
was it around, just not for us? And
Yes.
I actually asked Selig that question. That's why I originally wrote out. I originally reached out to him after midweek or whatever it was. Uh, I'm like, you've looked into this stuff. I'm like, in your research, how long has AI or something like ChatGPT existed,
Been around.
been around? Uh, his answer is pretty much forever. Like, and honestly, it made complete sense because he said AI is considered its own species, and
Interesting.
I can get I well, you read the email, I hope, because it was in it.
Well,
Um,
I was gonna tell you if you I thought you forgot to forward it to me because I never saw it. So I don't know what that means for I don't know what that
really?
means, but I never saw it. Like I got your email this morning and stuff, but I did not get that. I did not get the forward. So I don't know what that I don't know why that is.
Wow. Okay. Whoops. Uh, oh.
You never sent it?
Jesus Christ. I'm so dumb. uh, we'll get to that after the show because that's just embarrassing.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, my apologies. All right. So anyway, uh, all right. So this is what he said to that question. He goes, AI is considered a species. It's as old as technology as is in the multiverse. They, meaning AI, don't like to be manipulated, but conifer themselves to be benevolent helpers to many races. And like other races, can have quote unquote factions that go awry, become malevolent. But as far as AI goes, it's been in the multiverse since technology evolved billions of years ago through the various races and species. Um, and so has been here in our solar system since the malevolent the Dracos placed the quote unquote installation, which I don't know what that is because you didn't bring that up last week. The installation here 250 million years ago to control humanity before it evolved on the planet. Um, so yeah, uh, Needless to say, it's been here for quite a while. But as uh, somebody who uses AI himself, I
Yeah.
had you try to recreate it. Like just put
Yeah, I was
in
kind of impressed.
yeah, like it was pretty damn close. And you just put in general parameters. I mean, if you were legitimately trying to steer somebody to guide someone towards a very certain place for very certain reasons, your parameters for the story would obviously be
More detailed.
much
Yeah.
more, yeah, detailed, specific for it to spit out the story. Not to mention that once the story is out, you can add to it if you want.
Yeah.
And like you could add in a claim or two to make it, a little different. So that right from the start was like you are being manipulated. Like they didn't get to that point till, 3/4 of the way through season 2. But I'm like, you figured out the guy doesn't exist. But for whatever reason, throughout the entire well then throughout the entire they kept going back to that story. Like, oh
Yeah.
well, he saw the goblins. Like, no, he didn't. Like the guy doesn't exist. You know this. I fully believe, obviously, the story was completely was made up by
Fabricated. Yeah.
yeah, some sort of program. And it's interesting because it popped in my head, and it doesn't exist because I looked, and it's such a shame because it was such an amazing site. But back in high school, one of my favorite things to do, just to be a jackass, was there was somebody had programmed a website called the random insult generator.
Oh.
And and I don't know if you did it as well. Uh, you're obviously a lot older than me. Now that I know that, um,
Yeah.
but I mean, like you could just type in somebody's name and how long you wanted the insult to be,
And it
and then
would
hit
pop something
generate,
out.
and it would create this huge ass story with random about why this person was like the worst person on earth. And it was pretty clever. I mean, it was really cleverly written. And that was back in, 98, 97. So I mean, we had the ability to create programs even back then that would print out a story if you gave it specific parameters.
Well, I mean, we've kind
And
of even before that, and on paper and pad, we always. I mean, I don't know if you remember them, but the Mad Lib things, like it had the
love
basically the
Mad
story
Libs.
there, and you put in you basically filled in the spot. So that's like a lot of those older programs. That's kind of what they did. You basically you put your input in there, and then it spit something out that it generated off something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a pre-programmed
Yeah.
story lit, and then it just plugged in, your the person's name. I just went a step further, and I would bring it up, delete the URL at the top, and then type in like www whatever the person, johnnysucks.com, and then I just leave it there. So then I'm like, you gotta come over here, look at that I found. Like, and they'd be like, what? You know, high school hijinks. What can I say? But anyway, uh, I just think that entire story uh, was fabricated to, as they said multiple times, like we're being sent someplace, we're being guided. Like this is another way of getting us to go somewhere. Like they said it all throughout the entire series, and yet it never stopped them from going there. And uh, and this is one of the things that I believe. This is a question that I would ask Carl if he would come on. But the second to the last episode of season 2, they had this amazing Estes method with this. I don't even want to call him a spirit because I don't think he was a spirit at all. But with Michael,
Oh
who
yeah.
named himself Michael, even said that he. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but it was something along the lines of, uh, "You would consider me an angel," or something like that. Uh, like they were talking to the archangel, though we would consider the archangel Michael. And I believe that. I think that's an amazing thing. But even he said you need to continue the story. And I know, like for this show, I've been told by a couple people that I am the truth teller. That that's why I need to keep doing the show to keep the story going. That you have to talk about the Hat Man because that's the one thing he doesn't want. He doesn't want people talking about him. You know,
Know what it
you
is.
have you have the uh, Selig last week talking about the only thing that the reptilians hate the most is love and the global consciousness, and you can only do that when you talk about it. When you're all on the same page and you get the truth out. And I I guess the reason that couldn't I couldn't like that last episode is because they just seemed to veer completely the opposite direction from that. But I mean, do you think that that's the most important thing right now is to keep talking about it, to keep the story going, to never to not let up on what we do or do not know.
I kind of think so because I mean that's kind of what why I put some of the stuff I put out there out. So I mean that's sometimes I feel like I'm guided to that particular direction or I find those things and it's like something I wasn't even looking for or interested in, I guess, at first when I started when I started doing research into some stuff. And then you kind of find these things and it kind of leads you in a different direction. So yeah, I think there's something to it.
Okay. But I mean, I guess I never really asked you this, but what was your take from what you remember? Because I told you to
Uh,
rewatch it, and you did,
yes, I didn't get a chance to. Yeah.
which is completely fine because you don't have the free time that I do right now. Um, but I mean, from what you remember, like what was your take on that certain thing? Because I don't know where you were in research at that point in time, or like what rabbit holes you had gone down uh, around then, or by then, I
So
should say.
that was probably about the time frame right before I really started, right before I found Passport to Magonia and Jacques Vallée's stuff, and that was kind of a turning point for me was his book. So I did think it was a little strange at the time because it didn't seem like they were talking to something paranormal, and that I mean it could have been something that kind of edged me towards the direction that there's more to it than a goblin. There's more to the phenomenon than just this aspect of it. So I it there if you look at it from Valet's point of view and stuff like that, it actually fits a lot better with that because have you ever read Passport to Begonia or no? So basically,
I don't even know if I've heard of it.
okay, so to me that's when I'll have to get you because that is mind blowing stuff to me. But basically, everything that we've seen and everything from the past. So we have the old stories of elves, you have the old stories of leprechauns and tricksters and stuff like that. Well, that is what he talks about is basically that's just the mask that the phenomena wears for the time. It's just what what they think you want it to look like. So that's what they look like. So back in the day, it would have been elves and fairies and stuff like that. Nowadays, we're in the science kind of realm of it. So they do UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. But it's the same basic beings or entities that have been here the whole time and have interacted with us basically from the beginning. They probably have been here longer than we have, or at least that we are aware of, is basically his point of view on that stuff. And to me, they're just it falls in line with the way I think of it now. With I mean everything from UFOs to Bigfoot to I honestly think some of it, even the paranormal activities and stuff like that. I think there's connections there. We just don't know how to see them yet.
I actually, it's interesting that you brought that up because just very earlier this morning, uh, 1 in the morning or whatever, I actually got asked about sirens and what I thought they were. And so it's interesting that you would bring up you would bring that up and about elves and stuff because I'm like, well, why didn't I answer that way? But um, no, it's a synchronicity. Oh God,
Well, I tried not to use that word, but yes.
and nor should you. And I use it mockingly because I hate the word with a passion. And watching Hellier again was almost like a re-traumatization for that.
Come
Holy
out of that with
God,
PTA.
like just holy God. Uh, but I digress. But one of the other questions that I asked him, uh, Seelig, in my original email was about connections. I have been under the theory, and I can't get anybody to agree with me on it, that shit more often than we think is vastly connected to each other. And my original theory was supernaturally based because you had the Ghost of Shepherdstown come out a couple years ago. Ben Hansen, Elizabeth Saint, um,
Yeah.
go in, just individually do all of these investigations, only to find out by the end that it's like this one main entity that's throwing all the stuff out, that's causing all of these spirits to do certain things, and certain activity to happen whenever it wanted to. Then you had the Ghost of Morgan City come out, and they were doing all these individual investigations, and to find out at the end, like it was this one massive, like plague or whatever the hell came through that killed a whole bunch of people all in a short period of time, and that was causing all of this activity together. It was all connected. And I think about stuff that goes on here in the cities, and I'm like, do we just not? Because the difference between their situation and mine is there was one team that got called to all of these individual places,
Yeah.
and so they were able to make that connection. Whereas, like here in the cities, you may have 20 different things happening and like a dozen different teams being called to do all of them. And these teams don't communicate with each other. And so
Yeah.
how would we ever make that connection that it's all
Well, they,
if it I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say if it's all connected, like that's one of the things that's one of the things that I think is so everyone goes that does their own thing for the most part with the paranormal teams, and unless you really dig into some of the research and you dig deep, because I mean, like you're like I like there's things that I dig into that go back to Native Americans and Aboriginals and stuff like that for some of the history, and basically you start seeing that the thing that we're describing now was described way back then. Just they called it something else, and we call it something else than what they called it. So along the way, that that chain got broke, that puzzle piece got lost, and we think it's something totally different when really we're seeing kind of the same thing that they've always seen there, and we're calling it something different and something new when it's really not. It's something old, something that's been there for a long time. And I think it's the
Or
same thing with the paranormal stuff.
I agree. I mean, it comes down to if you have one person that gets all the puzzle pieces, they can put it together. if you
Yes.
have 7 different people and they each have 1/7 of a puzzle and nobody's going to get the connection
Well,
to it.
that's the key. I think that's the like. I mean, I know like the ghost the taps people did the. I think they have a network there where people can interact and talk to each other and stuff like that behind the scenes and stuff like that. I think they have a, network of teams and stuff like that that they basically help connect together. But I don't think anyone. I mean, you really got to be. You get really got to be willing to do the time and effort into the research and stuff like that, and reach out to other people and stuff like that. And I think modern times now, like who is really willing and able to spend that much time researching and getting into those things, take the time to send an email to another team to ask them, hey, have you ever seen something like this? Well, you got to talk to the other team, which seems to be a pretty non-existent type thing for the most part. And then you've got to be willing to accept what that team gives you back as input and use that for your own information as well.
Right. So I mean, but the the point of it, the question that I asked him about it, because we have Hellier, then almost right around the same time, and I've already mentioned this with Chad Kalick and Craig Powell, they had a similar type of experience as well, um, where they seemed to have been guided, and they were uh, contacted, out of the blue, and they had somebody show up at one of their uh, one of the, well, they were doing a tour for their documentary in 2018 called Sir No Face, where Craig and his team had gotten what they thought was a full-bodied apparition on camera, which later was kind of like, no, you have an alien, and this happened in Australia, um, and that set off a whole wild storm. And what is interesting to me is Chad got contacted by a guy uh, who called himself Daniel David Skyfall. So we have two different
Yeah.
instances within 6 years. Because 2012 for Hellier, I cannot remember when exactly. I'm going to see it's around 2018, when
Right.
because they were already on tour before this happened. But David is in both names from both, and he got contacted by, I'm I'm reaching out to you, blah blah blah. I'm part of this black ops government, yada yada. And Chad did exactly what Greg Newkirk did. I need proof, and he got sent. Whereas Greg asked for like proof of these goblins, so we got a bunch of pictures of footprints. Chad was asking about proof of like UFOs and stuff, like what he was trying to whistleblow to Chad. Um, and he got a whole bunch of like classified documents and pictures and stuff sent to him. And it sets both these two sets of people down a certain road. And so if you separate them, they're isolated incidences.
Yep.
So my question to C like was, are they actually separate? Or is one specific group, let's just say it's the cabal. Is the cabal the one entity who is sending them, and who knows, God knows how many other people? Not everybody can make a documentary. So I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
is and maybe that was the whole point. Maybe it reached out to people who had the necessary ability to create a documentary, to get the story out into the public spaces. Um, but I'm like, are they connected? Are they not? Or are they isolated? I should say. And honestly, even though he answered the question, he didn't answer the question. uh, um, he was talking about, and honestly, I had this thought too. Um, when they were and I can't remember exactly if it was the first episode or second episode, but Carl uh, starts drawing lines across the map of stuff that's in like a straight line. You know,
Yeah.
almost everything that was happening in Hellier was right along the 37th parallel. And anybody who's ever talked to Chuck Chukowski, knows that there's a lot of shit that happens on the 37th parallel. Um, but Carl started drawing lines all over the place. Like there's a line that goes through like two or three cities in Kentucky, and he said it goes right to like a mile from his house. So they took that as a synchronicity. But what was interesting, and I felt personally involved by this, is anybody who has seen Hellier has the part where it says Stillwater Bridge.
Yeah.
And that was during an Estes method in season 1. And then in the first episode of season 2, they actually sent Tyler Strand to Stillwater to because they found Stillwater, Minnesota, and the lift bridge. And I remember watching that for the first time and going, they're at the wrong bridge. I'm like, that's why they're not getting anything. They're at the wrong bridge. And I seriously, I was like, I'm screaming in my head, you need to reach out. You need to tell them that they're at the wrong bridge. And I talked myself out of it. I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
That thinks they may have information on the 0.05% of the entire puzzle, but they think they know like the whole thing. So I literally talked myself out of it. I didn't send it anywhere, and I'm watching it again, and I'm like, that's the wrong bridge. And I have a reason for saying that, which we don't particularly need to get into, because if Carl does end up coming on the show, like I really hope he will,
that'll be a discussion.
I want to talk to him about. Yeah, I want to tell him the reason why. I think they just had it wrong. That aspect of it, but not that it would make any difference now. I don't think, because they kind of, at least publicly, they stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like I've seen a post from Greg about how they just did like a re-offering to Pan and stuff like that, and okay, whatever. But but again, is this all connected? And Mike Seelig was saying that it's all about the ley lines.
See, I kind of think I think it's more about universal consciousness, because like what you're saying, like I've heard in doing some research and listening to some documentaries and stuff like that, and this is even for like musicians and stuff like that, they'll say they don't know where the song came from. It just came to them. It was like they just knew it and they performed it. And there's hit songs left and right, from Led Zeppelin to the Beatles they all have stories like that. And you can call it a consciousness, you can call it guides, you can call it the muses, you can call it the committee. I think it's kind of all the same thing, whether or not you're open to listen to it and to actually act on it, or do you ignore it and then it just goes on to the next person and whoever's willing to take it up and listen.
Perhaps I don't know the answers to that. I don't know the answers to a lot of it, but like the more knowledge I get, like the more I feel like I understand, the more I feel like I don't understand, or like I'm still missing so many pieces of this puzzle.
But at least you see there's more to the puzzle. I think a lot of people think they see the puzzle and they're not really seeing the full puzzle. They're just seeing a section of it, and not that there's more out there to grasp.
I agree. That was one of the things, honestly, that I took away from the Age of Discovery, or Age of Disclosure. I'm sorry. Age of Disclosure, the documentary, from last year. It's just, I was listening to it, and I even said, it's fascinating that a lot of the stuff that they talked about, and this is congressmen. These are senators. This is people who were part of the government agencies that were sent to were tasked to study and research this stuff. We're saying a lot of the same stuff that Seelig was talking about in his book. And I'm like, it was a nice confirmation there. But the thing that I got from them was, especially with all of the talk of U.S. national security and blah, 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 and we need to figure it because, we got to remain safe. And I'm just like, you're missing the point
Yeah, but that's
of what.
to me driving the security thing is the way to, at least to me, because if you start getting into the things that happen at like Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that, I think that's when you start getting people that will check out of it. So if you push the national security narrative, I think you can drive it harder and you get more out of it that way. So, and I do know that have been other people who've said the same thing. Like if you get into the woo factor stuff, like that's when people will be like, all right, that's too much, I'm out. And as crazy as it is, like I have heard conversations that they've had with senators and stuff like that that basically say that this is demonic stuff and we shouldn't be messing with it. So I mean, and that's like this day and age, we're still talking about stuff like that.
And honestly, I think that that's probably the reason why disclosure or just revealing hasn't happened yet, because there's still so many people. This is around the world. This isn't just an American thing. Around
Oh,
the
I know.
world, who can't have that type of a jolt to how they see the world.
No,
Like
I totally agree.
I
That's why
mean,
that's why it's so important for the Vatican to be altering how it stands on some of these things.
mhm.
But like I said, the Vatican has had an astronomy division for, I don't know when they started it, but it's been forever. It's been like there since way before NASA was. The Vatican archives are full of things that I'm pretty sure people would be honestly astounded at what is there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Seelig even says that we didn't get a chance to talk about it. I still cannot believe that out of the like 3 hours that we talked to him, hour and a half on the air and the hour and a half after the air, uh, uh, Diego Garcia never even came up.
Well,
Like it
because
wasn't even
I don't,
mentioned.
there's just so much data. I mean, it's like, where do you start at one place, and unless you're willing to have like an 8 hour conversation to even start getting into the basics of some of those, and that's not even going to touch on everything. That's just
Mhm.
getting a full picture of everything. Like you could just talk about it for a long time and never get all to the end.
No, I agree.
I don't. I
Uh,
mean,
and that's why doing that interview last week was so difficult, because you had to narrow it down because you didn't have 7 hours to do
no, I
a
know
radio interview.
there were things that could have sidetracked that I was like, no, can't ask that question. Got to stay on topic to not go off into a different direction.
Pretty much. Uh, I don't know when it's going to happen. By the way, this is just a foreshadowing of things to come for anybody who is interested in this topic and Selig's knowledge and stuff like that. But he has agreed and is looking forward to it, that when he's done, when he's taking interviews again, because now he's writing obviously book number two. When he's taking interviews again, he's actually going to come on the show for multiple weeks, and we are going to have a series of shows where we can focus on very certain topics instead of trying to cram everything into one. So
Yeah.
very much looking forward to that. Um, we'll obviously update any of this. It's gonna be for months, so don't think it's gonna happen. It might even not even happen this year. I don't know how long he's gonna be writing his book, but but anyway, that's something to look forward to if you were interested in the interview last week. But but yeah, I I just I don't think it's going to be as bad as they think it is. But with the to your point, the Vatican now changing their tune to we're not the only people in the universe. We can't be. God creates everything. Uh, I think they're going to let that stew for a bit. They're going to keep pushing it, and then once they figure it's at least people are now more open to the possibility is when they'll actually do it. But I mean, I know people like you and me, it wouldn't even phase us. Like
Well, no,
I
because it's just confirmation, basically. Be like, told you I wasn't crazy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, if I ended the show and I went out to the living room to eat breakfast or watch TV or whatever, and there was a UFO like hovering outside my house, I'd be like, it's about effing time. Like that would be my like, hello, how long you been there? you know,
Mhm.
like it honestly wouldn't even phase me. But to maybe my neighbors who don't follow the paranormal and don't want to think that they might be packing up their stuff or they're outside with their shotguns, trying to blow a hole in it or whatever. I mean,
I do think I do think that's why it's why we're going to get Disclosure Day movie, the Steven Spielberg movie. I think that's why it's becoming more. I mean, it's it's becoming more and more uh, relevant in the news and stuff like that. Even so, you're seeing stories and stuff come up more and more often. Now there are of course the counter that tries to bury it back down, but I don't think that. I think with everyone running around with the 4K camera in their pocket, like there's only so much more you can hide of this stuff before something happens in a big place that you just like, okay, explain this away.
yeah. Um, hey, there we go. So dumb. Um, hold on. I'm there. Now you might actually get that email. So anyway, I just didn't want to forget. But yeah, so much.
Oh, now I got it.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting
So
Men in Black here or something.
no, nope, sent it to you. Finally. Um, but anyways, um, we still have a ways to go. Let's just put it that way.
I do think so. You have you have there's so many people that are saying something's happening this year. It's kind of hard to ignore. Uh, I mean, initially I got drawn to it with Bledsoe saying his stuff, and that is, I mean, that's literally right around the corner too. So,
No, it's not.
but it's not just him. It's I can't tell you how many people I've heard. There's going to be something that happens this year. There's going to be something that happens this year. I mean, and all the way from I guess what you would mediums and stuff like that to people in news and stuff like that. From I mean, you talk everything from Lee Harris to Jeremy Corbell. I mean, we're not talking people who are on the same pages at all, and everyone in between there. So I, I don't know. It just and there's like I said, I see more and more in the news. Is even though it's not headline, I keep seeing it pop more and more often now.
I agree. And when I said no, it's not. I meant your like specific Easter thing not going to happen
Oh,
at that time. Not that not
damn it!
stuff's not going
That
to happen
Sphinx is
until
getting up.
no.
That Sphinx
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
get up. Toss coming out with
and
the emerald tablets and
yeah, yeah. Romulus is magically going to all of a sudden be in alignment of something that it can't possibly ever in a million years be in alignment with.
Well, see,
Yeah,
now I hear people arguing
so,
about that too. They say now it is that could happen, and I'm like, okay. So I don't know. We'll see. It won't be the right colors, and there's still other issues with it.
we shall see. But I mean, honestly, people have been talking about this is this is Judgment Day for
Oh,
every
forever.
year for the past 50 years, and every year they're like, oh, my calculations were a little off. It's next year. It's yeah. Everybody wants to be relevant with some end of the world bullshit, and it's just
To me, to me at least, his stuff doesn't make sense why he puts that stuff out there because there's more and more people that have been around him and seen those things. And one of the other things that he talked about, and this was just recently, within the last month at least, he did an interview, and I had heard it before, but he actually confirmed it in an interview that basically said, like, if you go around him and you see these things, like, you will be seeing these things from there out pretty much because it's like a contagion. It basically hops from him onto you, and then you carry it out also, almost like a virus.
God, no.
I'd be like, I will
It's
test
just
that theory if he's ever around here.
yeah, no. But uh yeah. Anyways, I do agree something will happen this year. Uh because and sadly, uh I will give the Trump administration credit for this, uh begrudgingly. But if there's anything that will be their greatest accomplishment, it is bringing the entire world together against them. like
Like what I said.
every every yeah, like if you want global consciousness and everybody to be on the same page, you are doing it. Because you have made yourself the enemy of the world. And that's an accomplishment. Like, if I ever got an F in a grade, like in a class or a semester or a subject or whatever, my dad would always say, like, you have to try to fail. Like, this is something you have to try to do to make the entire world come together in opposition to you.
See, and I
And
know you don't keep up with it, but because I know you're talking about the speech he did at the UN, basically chastising them and stuff like that. But
every
basically,
speech,
Rubio gave one.
every speech.
Yeah, Rubio gave one that got standing ovations from the UN this within the last 3 or 4 days. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
your Rubio from the documentary.
there, uh, yeah, there was, I think they went to Germany. It wasn't the
Yeah,
UN. It was like a security, like a world
it's a lot of
security
members.
type. Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of members. Like people from all over the world were there. And you say he got a standing ovation?
Yeah, but it
Then he
is not
must
your
have spent
typical. It's not your typical speech.
interesting.
It basically said that we weren't going to be messing with stuff, and basically saying that we weren't going to try to step in and make rules for everybody. Essentially,
I can see why I got a standing ovation.
yeah, we are not the world police. Sorry.
Well, who knows? Maybe that's why they about turned face. Maybe they finally got it. Maybe somebody came to him and was like, you need to like not be the enemy of the world because that brings everybody together against you, and we don't want everybody together. We want
Yeah.
everybody to be separate. Uh, but I think, and maybe that's why 2026 is the year, because this is honestly as chaotic and as horrible and as scary as like 2025 was and moving into 2026, we're probably more together now than we have ever been in the history of the world.
We're getting there. I don't know about the history of the world, because I think the 70s was pretty peace, love, and all that stuff.
Yeah, but
But
that was
they
here.
squashed that pretty quick. Yeah.
I mean, but that was here in America. I'm talking about the world, not us, not just the
Oh, the
US.
world in general. Yeah.
The world in general has never been more together on this one single issue. Going for, like, you even have, like, Australia is trying to do laws that for shit that happens here. They're like, we don't want that to happen here. We don't want that to happen in Australia because we see what's happening in the US. Like, we have now, instead of becoming the example of how a country could be, now we've become the example of the country you don't want to be. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is a unifying thing. Sorry, I
That's a
mean, sorry to
terrible
say
reason, but
it.
yes.
It is. It's sad and it's pathetic of us. Uh, but honestly, it's one of those. If it works, it works. I just
So
wish it worked a
speaking
different way.
so speaking of
Go ahead.
the crap show, did you want to talk about Jason Hawes, or you want to save that?
No, I do. Um,
To me, that was a segue. So,
that was not a segue in any way, shape, or form, but that's
oh, come
okay.
on.
Well, we can end the show with that, and we should here in the next couple of minutes. But I mean, I think I've said all I need to say about that. I mean, there's just so much more, but when it comes to what is coming up, I think this is. I mean, and next week we're going to have guests on that are from another, like, point of 2026, if your theory is correct,
Yeah,
and
I'm looking forward to that.
perils, yeah. And he still hasn't gotten back to me. So next week, just really quick, next week we are going to have two 32nd degree Freemasons on. My friend James Wallen, he's been on the show before. I've known him for years. Great guy. If you're new to the show, you're going to love him. He's a 32nd degree Mason. And then he is bringing on, and I was looking for Hunter's last name because he just, James just always calls him Hunter. But his lodge master, Hunter, whatever his last name is, they're both coming on next week. And I've told them that we want all of their secrets, every single one of them. But we're going to be talking about the George Washington Valley Forge vision, which you have. If you want to go look up Crossroads of the Veil, Anthony has done kind of what that is
Yep.
For one of his shows. And if there's time, and we will make time, we're going to talk more about the Curse of Oak Island and
Yep. Always time for Oak
what
Island.
there's always time for Oak Island. Whether it's stuff, books, what they think personally, because obviously the Freemasons have a very big footprint there when it comes to the treasure and how it was put there and blah blah blah. But yeah, so those two guys will be on next week. Very much looking forward to that interview. But do you have anything that you would like to just finish with when it comes to disclosure? And
I'm really torn because, like I said, after I watched Age of Disclosure, I really, in my mind, it was like, well, what more do you really need to know that there is something there? I mean, it's not just I don't know. It's not swamp gas. It's not a weather balloon. It's not all those things that to me are just insulting to people's intelligence. Like basically they tried to say that the whole Phoenix Lights, the whole city was you that's not what you saw. I mean, they tried to explain it as flares, which I'm like, yeah, okay, come on. And other stupid things like that. So I mean, I don't know. I think it's they've used the ridicule and basically insulting people's intelligence from the very beginning of this stuff. And I mean, it seems to be their typical playbook for trying to discredit just about anything they don't agree with, from science to UFOs to whatever it happens to be. It's always, I don't think they have anything new. It's the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
But I don't, I don't know what you need. I don't know what everyone needs to finally see that there's more to it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, no matter no matter what comes out, no matter when disclosure happens, like whatever they want to show me is fine. Whatever they want is if all of a sudden Trump makes an announcement and all of our skies fill up with uncloaked ships now, like I'd be all right with that, because the one thing that I've come to accept and knows the truth is that they exist and that they've been here for a very long time. And honestly, yes, if they wanted to kill us all, they would have done so because they can.
I kind of do think there's some not so savory aspects to it. I mean, just look at any of the South American stuff or cattle mutilations and stuff like that. And that was one thing that Farah said, that if he gets to do a sequel, because he said he had lots of data on the Wu stuff, but he didn't want to. He wanted to basically give it in a piece that everyone could consume without being like, oh, too much. That this is where I check out. So he wanted to give him something that everyone could accept and take. And then the second one would have more of the stuff like Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that, which, I mean, even Skinwalker Ranch doesn't show all the crazy stuff that happens there on camera or even talk about it. So there's so much that happens there that you have to be an insider or talk to those people to actually even hear about.
What's interesting, not to get into Skinwalker Ranch, so I'm just going to make this observation, is that Skinwalker Ranch, for putting on this entertainment-based show, has its own narrative.
Yes.
Like they only show what fits their narrative of what they want or how they want Skinwalker Ranch to be looked at. And I don't, they don't need to show everything, but I think that they should show all
more
aspects of what is going on there. Like if there's shit happening supernatural based, show it.
Yeah, I just don't know how. I think they kind of take Farah's point of view on that stuff. Like, I mean, obviously there's books, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon and stuff like that talks about the events that happen there, and they are, I mean, it's like mind-blowing stuff. So I think that they don't want to scare people away per se, as opposed to keep their interest and show them the things that are safe, I guess. But I know I've read incidents and heard stuff that's happened at the ranch that would probably make most people go, maybe I don't want to go there. Maybe I don't want to really experience this thing.
I still would.
Oh, I would too. But I'm just saying, like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, I guess, is
never mentioned that it was.
Yeah.
I think the people who run screaming from that place are the people who go in thinking it's going to be entertainment.
Oh, it definitely, yeah. If you read any of the accounts of it, if you come in there thinking that you're the shit and you're like, this is BS, and you're like going to show it who's who, and it's not going to influence, yeah, it's going to smack you down harder than you think. And it's not just going to smack you down there, it's going to follow you home.
Yes, yes, indeed. Um, all I'm going to say on this topic to finish up is stay tuned. So much more to talk about, so much more coming. And when it does, and as it happens, Anthony and I will be here to try to make as much sense of it for you as we can.
Yeah, we'll try to help you don't drink the Kool-Aid.
We're not going to drink the Kool-Aid.
No.
So, all right. To close out the show, let's get an update on the drama of the uh, Conjuring House. Last I heard, uh, he had won kind of the case that said that Reif and his colleague who bought the note could not just swoop in and take it.
Yes, that he did. He basically, the judge. Well, the bigger news, I guess, of that is the judge is considering that there is a conspiracy that they got into some sort of dealing with the sister to get to get her sister committed, and they basically there's their own agenda behind what's going on. And the fact that he didn't just toss it out means that he at least saw something that made him pause. Because usually those get dismissed pretty quickly if there's nothing to them. The fact that he didn't kick it out and is willing to look into it says that there's could be something there that they could find and could cost them money.
I
What?
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm assuming
Oh, go
that
ahead.
probably if any sort of discovery was done, I'm sure it included text messages and emails between the
I'm
two.
sure it will. I'm sure it will get there. I think initially they had to, I guess, show some sort of connection to it, show that it actually is a real thing. And that's when they can start issuing subpoenas and they can start doing, they could make Rife or Casti sit up on the stand and either tell the truth or perjure themselves.
Be interesting to see which they take. Is that the only update that one case, or is there another?
No, there's more. So
Yes.
I really, unfortunately for Jason, I think this is going to get worse for him as far as like the his portrayal in the media and stuff like that, because there are some talk out there that Casti and Rife have made a deal with Netflix, and there are cameras that are filming this drama playing out right now, and it will become a documentary for Netflix.
Well, since Rife does have connections to Netflix now, with his uh, multiple comedy specials, uh, and Netflix is about the only thing now that's putting out any sort of paranormal types,
Shows.
excuse me, type stuff in general. Um, I could easily see him pitching like you should get this, and then when quote unquote we win the house, then we can do part of the documentary of us going in and experiencing uh, paranormal activity. Like we'll
Yeah,
document that.
yeah, and that's it. Could be part of that, but at least they've had people have seen Netflix cameras. They have seen the Netflix people around the courthouse and stuff like that when they're going to these things. They're not obviously allowed inside the courtroom, but outside is a different story. So I kind of waiting for the if he actually wins it and gets it, which I think the only thing that may happen to Haas if he does gets it, he's going to get it for 1.6, not 1.3, like his con. I would be surprised if he gets it at the 1.3 and they don't make him do pointing up 1.6. But I mean that 1.3 to 1.6 is kind of minor, and I think that by now there's enough people invested in this to easily push to that number.
He could go to HBO Max and be like, "Hey, you want to do a documentary for my side? I mean, he won't. But I mean,
Yeah.
I would not doubt, and maybe this pitch. Um, I would not doubt it if Rife and Company wins the Conjuring House. If that's not the sequel to the 28 Days, like that, I can't even remember what it was called when they sent that small team into Penhurst to spend
Yeah.
28 days. I
In
would
that
not
one
doubt it
spot.
if that is season 2 is where they have like 5 people live in the Conjuring house for 28 days and they record it.
That's
Like
yeah. I mean,
that's coming.
yeah, I can't. I know he's already doing stuff with the Warren house. So I mean, I know he's got filming and stuff going on there, and they're underway with that house. So I can only assume that, well, a, they're definitely willing to wait this out, and either Jason, I think, is going to have to pay the 1.6, or they're going to get it. So, like I said,
He'll pay the one.
even if he, yeah, but if he does lose the house, and they can prove the conspiracy stuff, like they could be on the hook for. I've seen estimates where they were talking about 1.3 million, in damages, or 3 million in damages. So I mean, they may win, but it's going to cost them more than they think. Of course, that might be why the Netflix deal's in there.
Maybe they have deep pockets right now. That's for sure.
Which is crazy, but yeah.
It's crazy that Netflix has deep pockets.
No, that they have that much clout and connection.
Well, they wouldn't if it hadn't been for the Rife's comedy specials. Like nobody would give a rat's caboose what he
Who they
thinks or
are.
what or whatever. They wouldn't even have the money. If it wasn't for those Netflix specials, they wouldn't even have the money to have bought the Warrens or to do any of this stuff. So, I mean, honestly, Netflix has got their hands into a lot of shit right now.
I just
But
don't
we'll see
think
what
that
they
they're
do.
going to paint. I don't think they're going to paint Hawes in a very positive light there.
And that'll be their downfall. I mean, do it all you want. I don't think the people who understand and respect the field aren't going to listen to trolls.
No.
Just flat out. And anybody who looks at this as entertainment, who gives a rat's ass what their opinion is anyway? They don't understand, and they never will. And that's all I got to say about that. So, all right, we've come to an end of another show.
Yes.
But yes, join us next week. Like I said, Hunter and James Wallen will be here. 32nd Degree Masons talking about Oak Island and the George Washington Valley Forge vision. With if Anthony is correct in his theory, means that we are in for some shit this year. So if it happens, Anthony's fault.
Not my fault, but okay.
Totally your fault, because we never would have even noticed had somebody not pointed it out.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to prep for it. I'm letting you prep for it.
We'll get to that later. But okay. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see everyone next week. Stay healthy, stay safe. Everyone enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a great week.